Saturday night, where were you? Were you watching Britain's Got Talent? Because it was incredible. And 11-year-old Olly Pearson booked his place in the grand final.
In 2025, millions of people tuned in to watch Olly Pearson shine on the Britain's Got Talent stage. However, that electrifying performance was just the surface of his journey. Behind the standing ovations was a story the cameras never fully told. Now, as more details emerge about his journey, one question remains. What did viewers never get to see? The answer is far more intriguing than anything. The secret mentorship of Grandpa Lee. When Olly Pearson stood in front of the Britain's Got Talent judges, the show painted a picture of an overnight miracle. It felt as though television producers wanted you to believe this 11-year-old kid just woke up one day, grabbed a guitar, and magically knew how to shred like a rock god. But the reality of that whole scene is a lot more interesting than the television edit. Well, Olly's real journey did not start in a fancy, high-pressure television studio. It actually began on a regular street corner in his hometown of Wrexham, Wales. While walking outside during a local street gathering, he saw a neighborhood musician playing an electric guitar. The raw, vibrating sound hit him immediately, and he became completely obsessed. He did not want to just watch from the sidelines anymore. He knew right then that he had to learn how to play that instrument. Now, this is exactly where Lee Hughes, his grandfather, stepped into the picture. In 2020, during the lockdowns, Lee, who was a lifelong musician himself, decided to turn his retirement years into a personal rock academy for his young grandson. They spent up to 7 hours every single week practicing side by side in the house. Lee did not make Olly sit through dry, boring music theory books or scale exercises. Instead, he used a unique technique he called the door-opening approach. Lee would simply play classic rock songs from his own youth, like hits by the Shadows or the Beatles, and leave the door open for Olly to copy the sounds entirely by ear. Within just 2 years of this fun, natural method, Olly was actually teaching his grandfather new tricks on the fretboard. Also, another good reason why Olly sounded like a seasoned pro at such a young age was his equipment. He was not practicing on starter toys that made weird, tinny sounds. His grandfather made sure he was armed with high-end premium gear right from the start, including a classic Patrick James Eggle electric guitar. This professional-grade equipment allowed him to master the rich tones, heavy distortion, and long sustain of his guitar heroes before he even finished elementary school. While viewers fell in love with this sweet, simple grandfather-grandson connection, there was a far more complex operation happening behind the scenes. So, how did a normal kid from Wrexham, Wales end up playing electric guitar on national television? Rehearsing the spontaneous audition. For Olly, making the leap from his family's living room to a national stage took a lot of hard work. After mastering those classic rock riffs with his granddad, Olly joined Wrexham Sounds, a local music school. It was here his instructors quickly realized his talent was something truly special. Encouraged by this support, his parents, Simon and Sarah, alongside his granddad Lee, decided it was time to share his skills with a much wider audience. They submitted a simple video application to the casting team of Britain's Got Talent, and the producers were completely blown away. Because of this, Olly sailed through the off-camera screening rounds and was invited to showcase his talents at the live judges' auditions in Blackpool. On that day, Olly arrived at the theater fully equipped with his own personal wireless guitar system. And being that he was already a seasoned street busker who regularly performed for crowds in places like Chester, he was completely used to playing without being tied down by cords. Also, the camera crew had to stay completely in sync with his fast movements. When a performer moves as quickly as Olly does, camera operators need to know his general path so they can keep him in focus and avoid getting lost in the bright stage lights. The team mapped out the best spots for the lenses to capture both the crowd's energy and the genuine excitement on the judges' faces. It was not about over-scripting the kid, but rather making sure the millions of people watching at home did not miss a single second of the fun. Even his classic rock song list, which blended massive hits by AC/DC, Van Halen, and Queen, was a smart and deliberate choice. These legendary tracks are universal crowd pleasers that immediately connect with music fans of all ages. But behind his cool rock star look, Olly was still just an 11-year-old kid dealing with some very normal backstage pre-show jitters. In his actual audition, his parents were also visibly nervous for him, with his mom asking his dad if Olly would be okay. But the television cameras focused entirely on his confident stage presence, and his ability to push through that anxiety made his golden buzzer moment with Amanda Holden feel incredibly earned. Though the golden buzzer secured Olly's spot in the live shows, his next performance would feature an unexpected rule-breaking stunt that split the Britain's Got Talent fan base right down the middle. The Golden Disruption. When Olly Pearson stepped onto the stage for the live semifinals, the production team pulled out all the stops to give him a true rock star showcase. This was no longer just a kid with a guitar standing in front of a microphone. Rather, the live broadcast featured a massive set upgrade. As Olly sang through a high-octane medley of Thunderstruck, Sweet Child O' Mine, and Livin' on a Prayer, he was surrounded by energetic backing dancers, lifted high into the air on a rising platform, and equipped with a special guitar that literally shot bright flames from the headstock. The show looked amazing, but it was nothing compared to the rule-breaking moment that happened just as the final chord faded out. In previous seasons of Britain's Got Talent, the golden buzzer was strictly used during the early audition rounds, the fast-track acts to the semi-finals. But for Series 18, the producers introduced a brand new twist, in which each judge was given a special live show golden buzzer to send one semi-finalist straight to the grand finale. So typically, Simon Cowell was supposed to wait for the performance to finish, let the hosts interview Olly, and hear what the other judges had to say. Instead, he got so swept up in the rock and roll energy that he completely threw the rule book out the window. Immediately, Simon slammed his golden buzzer the very second Olly struck his final note, completely bypassing the standard feedback segment. When the hosts pointed out that he did not even wait for the judges to speak, Simon jokingly apologized to the crowd, admitting he went a little too early because he was simply too excited. This impulsive move made the teary-eyed 11-year-old, who called it the greatest moment of his life, one of the only acts in the history of the show to secure 2 golden buzzers in a single series. More so, Amanda Holden even joked that Simon was trying to steal her star act since she pressed her buzzer first. But while a lot of fans were absolutely thrilled by the decision, the sudden buzzer press divided the internet. Some viewers felt that giving one contestant 2 golden buzzers was unfair to other acts, who had to rely entirely on public votes. With the controversy reaching its peak, the stage was set for a historic grand finale. Was Olly Pearson able to pull off his final performance? The showstopper closing VGT's biggest stage. After making history as the series' breakout double golden buzzer act, the expectations for 11-year-old Olly Pearson were incredibly high. The Britain's Got Talent producers gave him the ultimate sign of confidence by giving him the very last performance spot in the whole grand final. Performing last out of the 11 talented finalists on live television is a massive high-pressure challenge. But Olly was ready to deliver. For his final performance on the show, he planned a spectacular classic rock tribute, choosing to tackle Wings' complex masterpiece, Live and Let Die, alongside Queen's iconic anthem, Bohemian Rhapsody. Instead of any technical delays or stage fright that can plague live television, Olly's walk onto the stage was a masterclass in professional execution. There was no backstage panic or equipment failure. Holding his signature red guitar, he stepped under the bright lights with the calm confidence of a seasoned rock veteran. Supported by 2 powerful live drummers providing a booming beat, Olly launched into his set without a single trace of nerves. This was his moment to prove his success was not a lucky television edit, but pure, hard-earned musical skill. The sheer scale of the performance was pretty impressive. Olly absolutely crushed the challenging guitar solos. He played with amazing skill, hitting every note perfectly, and making those really complex chord changes seem like no big deal at all. It was like he was born to play that guitar. His family, including his grandfather, Lee Hughes, watched proudly from the crowd as he dominated the massive stage. He moved across the platform with total freedom, engaging the crowd with a level of charisma that felt way beyond his years. When he hit the final notes of Bohemian Rhapsody, the entire arena erupted into a massive standing ovation, with all 4 judges on their feet. The judges could barely contain their excitement. Bruno Tonioli was so impressed by his technique that he compared him to a young Brian May, telling him he is a rock and roll star. Amanda Holden praised the entire routine as super professional and incredibly entertaining, noting how easy it was to forget they were watching a kid. For an 11-year-old schoolboy, pulling off such a flawless show on live television was a monumental achievement. Despite delivering a jaw-dropping finale, the ultimate decision lay with the viewers at home. The lingering debates over the double buzzer rule and the stiff competition from other acts had already started to shift the voting public's momentum. The public's support was silently moving in another direction, setting up a surprising final results twist that would shock BGT fans. Why the future of rock didn't win. When the final votes were counted on the big night, the crowd in the arena went quiet. Despite being the absolute breakout star of Series 18 with tens of millions of views online, despite the judges' rave reviews and the massive interest in his double golden buzzer run, the public vote did not quite carry him to the crown. Olly secured a 4th-place finish, claiming 10.4% of the final vote. For a Welsh schoolboy who had completely dominated the media cycle all spring, dropping out of the winner's circle felt like a major shock to his massive online fanbase. The ultimate victor of the night was 24-year-old magician Harry Moulding, who won the 250-pound grand prize and a slot at the Royal Variety performance with 21.7% of the public vote. Moulding, who reached the final via guest judge KSI's live show Golden Buzzer, had been honing his craft since the age of 10 in Blackpool. He delivered a tightly constructed finale act designed to keep the audience guessing. He began by having Simon Cowell select one of 50 pieces of paper that contained words summarizing his journey on the show. He then turned to the other 3 judges, instructing Bruno, Alicia, and Amanda to each memorize a card from a deck. In a swift display of sleight of hand, Moulding changed his held cards to match Bruno and Alicia's picks. He then appeared to swallow the entire deck, spitting the cards back out while isolating Amanda's choice. The illusion expanded further when a pre-recorded video played, showing Moulding jumping out of an airplane at 12,000 feet and landing on Amanda's chosen card. To seal his victory, he revealed Simon's chosen word directly on the stage. This combination of physical stunt work, classic magic, and a humble stage presence helped Moulding pull ahead of runner-up LED dance troupe, the Blackouts, and 3rd-place acrobat Benita Chetri, leaving Olly Pearson with a commendable 4th-place finish. Yet, instead of being heartbroken by the outcome, Olly and his grandfather Lee handled the 4th-place finish with complete class. They had already won over the hearts of the nation and established Olly's name in the music world. For many finalists on the show, 4th place marks the absolute end of the road. But for Olly, it was simply the launchpad for a viral Parisian takeover, which ended up being even bigger than his success on TV. The Paris takeover. The unexpected transition began when French pianist and content creator Julianne Cohen came across Olly's standout guitar performances on Britain's Got Talent. Struck by the 11-year-old's raw skill, Cohen knew he had found the perfect secret weapon for an ambitious artistic project. Immediately, he reached out to Olly and also contacted fellow Britain's Got Talent contestant Mickey Callisto. Cohen invited both of them to travel to France for a massive musical collaboration. The goal was to create a spectacular tribute celebrating the 50th anniversary of Queen's legendary masterpiece, Bohemian Rhapsody. Julianne Cohen chose the historic streets of Paris as their stage, specifically setting up in the Place de la Contrescarpe in the city's famous Latin Quarter. This was not a regular quick street performance, but an incredibly detailed, high-budget flash mob production costing thousands of euros. The ambitious setup featured 30 world-class musicians and singers hidden in plain sight around the circular public square. Passers-by were going about their day when a grand piano began playing the song's opening chords. Suddenly, artists emerged from nearby shops and under blankets. To make the operatic sections of the song sound completely massive, a professional opera choir stood at open apartment windows and sang down to the crowd. And to even top it off, lead singer Mickey Callisto arrived in a horse-drawn carriage to belt out the iconic vocals. But the true peak of the entire performance happened when the music shifted into the heavy rock section. Standing right in the middle of the Parisian street, Olly Pearson stepped forward with his electric guitar. Under the afternoon sun, he began to shred Brian May's legendary guitar solo with perfect precision. Local cafe patrons and tourists stopped in their tracks, dropping their forks and staring in absolute shock at this young kid dominating the street. The performance was captured on high-definition cameras and uploaded online, where it instantly exploded. The video went insanely viral, gathering over 70 million views and gaining 30 million likes across social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. This massive viral hit completely eclipsed the reach of his television run. The global viral sensation solidified Olly's status as a worldwide guitar hero, opening massive professional doors that extended far beyond the reach of any British television studio. Suddenly, music fans everywhere were left wondering where this unbelievable talent would take him next, and whether the traditional rock world was ready for a new teenage prodigy to lead the charge. Where is Olly Pearson today? If you've been wondering what Olly Pearson has been up to since his historic run on Britain's Got Talent, the short answer is that he is staying incredibly busy. The 11-year-old Welsh guitar prodigy, who blew everyone away with 2 golden buzzers, hasn't slowed down for a second. While many reality TV contestants fade from the spotlight after their season wraps up, Olly has used his momentum to kickstart a legitimate music career. Right now, Olly is successfully balancing the wild life of a rising rock star with the everyday reality of being a normal school kid in Wrexham, Wales. He still goes to his regular classes at Abermordw CP School, hangs out with his friends, and grinds through his weekly math homework. His family, especially his granddad Lee, makes sure he keeps his feet firmly on the ground despite all the global attention. But the moment the school bell rings, Olly transitions right back into guitarist Olly. On the industry side of things, major music brands noticed his insane talent immediately. He officially secured a spot as a Gibson G3 artist, meaning he is backed by one of the most iconic guitar manufacturers in the world. They provide him with top-tier gear and feature him in global promotions, which is a massive deal for a young musician. When he isn't in the classroom, Olly is traveling and performing. After the collaboration with French pianist Julian Cohen for that legendary Bohemian Rhapsody flash mob in Paris, he has become an absolute internet sweetheart. This single video even earned a stamp of approval from the actual members of Queen. Since then, Olly and Julian have kept the partnership going, recently teaming up again for a massive Game of Thrones-themed performance in London's crowded Covent Garden. Most importantly, Olly is working hard on his own artistic growth. While he became a household name playing legendary classic rock covers by bands like AC/DC and Guns N' Roses, he is currently focused on the future. He has shifted his creative energy toward writing his own original guitar-driven rock music. He is also in the process of putting together his very own rock band. Olly is proving that he isn't just a temporary television novelty act. Between major festival appearances, high-profile street performances, and studio time, he is laying down the exact groundwork needed to fulfill Alicia Dixon's prediction of one day filling massive music stadiums. Olly Pearson is balancing a normal childhood with a rock star trajectory, and it is safe to say he is just getting started. Still, it leaves us with one uncomfortable question. Did Simon Cowell's controversial decision ruin his final chances? Or was going to Paris his ultimate destiny? Share your comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. To enjoy more content like this, tap on the next video on your screen.